They have been celebrating the Martin Luther Day every year. Anytime you see, anytime you see somebody who has outstanding results, find out why. Try to check. There must be something unusual about him. There must be some lessons we can learn from him that made him so great. Just 39 years old. You know, there's another man, the oldest man that has ever lived. We have heard him. What's his name? Methuselah. How many years did Methuselah live? Methuselah lived 969 years. And the only record we have of him is that he had a wife and he gave birth to sons and daughters. That's a very great legacy, right? Now, he lived 930 years more than Martin Luther. And yet, Martin Luther is far greater in terms of impact, in terms of remembrance, in terms of legacy, in terms of prosperity than him. So that tells you the first lesson there is that it is not how long you live that matters most. Because this man only lived 39 years. Now, I'm not saying he won't live long. But the most important factor is not how long, but how well. This is why they normally say, don't just count your years, make your years count. So my point is that even in your youthful age, because most of the things he accomplished them as a young person. And that is what is so fascinating about his life. One of the things about him was that we took his education seriously. Let me start from there because we are all students. You know, he had a PhD. He had a master's degree and he had a PhD from Boston University. So, one of the things about him was that he took his academics very seriously. And we are living in a time now when academics is no longer having the same level of importance it had years ago. School is being trivialized now. It's being watered down. It's still important. So one thing I want to encourage you to do is take your academics very seriously. Of course, it takes more than academics to be a great leader, but it's important also. I'm going to draw out a few lessons from that man that I saw about him that really endeared me to him, made me fall in love with him, though he's dead now. And one of those things was what she was talking about when she was speaking. So one of the things about a leader is called leaders make sacrifices. That young man lived a life of sacrifice from childhood. You know, let me tell you one of the ways to identify a leader and to know whether you are a leader. A leader doesn't live for himself alone. He carries the interests of others in their heart. If I ask you to write out your goals, and everything you write is only about you, then you are not a leader. I want to go to Harvard University. Number 2, I want to buy PlayStation. Number 3, I want an iPhone. Number 4, I want to go to America for vacation. Number 5, I want to buy, everything is about you. And you are not a leader. One of the ways to be a leader is that a leader doesn't dream only for himself, he dreams for others. When you look at a leader's list of goals, you will see a lot of things to help other people. And right from childhood, this was the boy's mindset. He was constantly, he was always on the move to bring change. Whether in school, in his classroom, he was always thinking about how the lives of his students will be better. How the black community will be better. That was his constant dream. It's very important because we have a lot of self-centered people now. And the best time to start learning this thing is now that you are young. When King David saw Goliath, you remember David, right? And he went to go and fight him. Was he doing it for himself? What was he doing it for? For Israel. That was why he said, how can this big giant be troubling Israel? Not himself. He wasn't at risk. No, he wasn't in the army. He wasn't fighting. He was supposed to be at home resting. So he had no business with the battle. But he was concerned about the plight of Israel. That how can this giant be troubling these people? That's how leaders think. Remember Nelson Mandela? How many of you have heard of Nelson Mandela? You've all heard, right? What led to all those sufferings he went through? Was it for himself? Is that he couldn't stand to see his people suffer. And then he rose up to take responsibility. Many times they offered him freedom. Many times when he was in jail, the white government would come to him and say, Nelson, if you would renounce your interest in these things you are pursuing, we will let you go free. He will say no. That if you let him go now, he's going to go back on the streets again to keep on protesting for his people. That is how you do a leader. He was subjected to a lot of torture. Many times they will take Nelson Mandela to a corner and they will urinate in his mouth. Yes. I'll tell you. They will beat him, they try to break him, and the only thing they ask him to do is just go your own and go and sit down in your house. He said no. That if he does that, what will happen to his people? They will continue to be under duress, under stress, under subjugation. That no. As long as he has breath in him,